What up? My name is Jade Fox. This is the Made You Looks channel. And today I got another style mistakes that lesbians make, part 2. And I actually feel like these might be better than the last ones. And I have to say this. I must say this. Please wear what you want and wear what you like, okay? If I say anything in this video and you feel like I'm attacking you, just hit it with the mental blockiana and say, you know what? No. I don't give a fuck about what Jade is saying right now. I don't give a fuck about none of that. And then just keep on pushing, okay? It's really okay. This is not me trying to tell you what you should wear or what you should not wear. Rather, these are mistakes that I have made in the past. And I'm going to give reasons why I think that they are mistakes and why I think that it is, worth considering maybe editing a bit, adjusting a bit, to really achieve a more polished or conscious look. But please, this is not, coming from a place of judgment. It's not coming from a place of, of any of that, okay? Just some constructive criticism. And most of it has to do with just what I've noticed that I've done in the past that, I shouldn't have been doing that shit. I'm not tripping. If you're not tripping, we good. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the first one. This one is probably the one that I see the most, and that is just lack of originality. And I think that this stems from, people just trying to dress like a label. I'm this, therefore I can only look this way, or I can only wear these things so I can achieve, the look that would be applicable for this label. When I look around the lesbian community, I'm seeing a lot of big hoodies and kind of stacked skinny jeans on top of bulky sneakers. That's like style number 1. And style number 2 is graphic tees, stacked skinny jeans, and those Balenciaga sock shoes. Style 3 is a t-shirt that might be thrifted with the folded up, kind of cuffed sleeves and then tucked tightly into a pair of slim denim with those suspenders and cuff jeans with a Van. That's just kind of the more common styles. There's nothing wrong with those, but I think that the fact that I can probably name and nail at least the top 3 to 4 looks within the community shows that I think that we could be branching out a little bit. I think that we could be experimenting a little bit. I think that we can, embrace, some feminine and masculine rather than trying to go in just one direction a bit more. I think that it's worth it. I think it's worth it. And like I said, I think that it's also coming from wanting to feel seen and identifiable too. Like, I want to be validated as a stud, therefore I'm gonna dress how I see studs around me dress. I want to feel validated as a femme, so I'm gonna dress how I've seen femmes around me dress. And like I said, I get it. I'm not saying that this is bad, but I have noticed a trend. There's just not a lot of uniqueness that I've seen in the community. And I also want to preface this by saying, even though we're already into this video, that yes, some of these can be applied to literally any group of any gender and any sexuality. Like, I'm aware of that. But I'm only talking about the one that I belong to. So that's just where we at, okay? Oh, this next one. Okay. Giant watches. Why? You don't need a watch where the case of the watch is bigger than the width of your wrist. And I get the vibes you're going for. I get that you want daddy vibes, big boss vibes. You like a little shiny, a little glam. I get it. What I'm saying though is that when you have a watch and the case is so big that it is the same width of your wrist, if not bigger than the width of your wrist or wider than the width of your wrist, it looks costumey. And therefore, all that money you just spent on that watch, it's not giving what you want it to give. I think the average case size of a watch, even a menswear watch, is maybe 36 or 38 millimeters-ish. And they do have such a thing called oversized watches. But you gotta get a watch that is appropriate for the size of your wrist, because that is what's truly going to give you that flashy, that, boss, that kind of daddy vibe, is when you have a watch that is literally fitting. It just kind of looks thrown on when it doesn't fit, especially if you got the big old watch and it's kind of rattling around, it's sliding down here, sliding up here, sliding all over the place. It's always rotating around your wrist. It's too big, bruh. It's too big. Like, you can get that look that you want to get. The watch doesn't have to be huge though. And they're diesel watches. I know they're diesel watches. They're those Michael Kors watches with the big MK on the inside. I know what kind of watches y'all be buying, bro. I'm not saying you don't need to buy them. I'm just saying buy one that fits your wrist. People who would see that are not going to necessarily like respect you anymore like than they would if your watch was smaller. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, that person deserves attention. Like, no one's going to do that. Next, I think this kind of goes back into the first mistake that I said or that I talked about, a lack of balance in your outfit. I see a lot of, and this is also like very Instagram-y, but I see a lot of like very long cut hoodies and like t-shirts with very like skinny stacked pants and then like a big old chunky shoe. Those elements are fine individually, but I think what I'm really getting at here is that there isn't a real consciousness behind the clothes that we wear sometimes. Like, we see that that like long line hoodie, or we see that jacket, or we see those pants, we think they're cool, and then we put it on. But there needs to be a thought as to like your proportions. There needs to be a thought into how it's fitting and how does it change my proportions. I think that's mainly probably what I'm trying to get at. Because the thing is that I'm not someone who like dresses to look taller, or who doesn't wear things because I'm short, because I feel like there's a lot of rules around like, well, if you're short, then you can't wear oversized things. And if, you know, you're short, then you, like, I don't believe any of that. I think that you can do whatever you want regardless of how tall or how short you are, but you have to be mindful of your proportions, or else your clothes are going to look like they're wearing you. It's gonna give like Little Rascals, when they was two boys and they was like wearing that big ass jacket, like it's gonna look like that. It's gonna give SpongeBob when he had the boots on. Like, the boots are half of your body, you know what I mean? And so whenever I see just kind of like that lack of like thought when it comes to how the clothes are looking and the silhouette that it's giving us and the shape and how it's changing our proportions, it makes me think about how much this outfit would hit more if you thought about that. Because these items individually are cool. Like, that jacket is cool, those pants are cool, that shirt is cool, but when you just throw them on and you don't really put much thought into how it literally looks on your body, you just look like the outfit and you don't look like you wearing the outfit. I hope that this is making sense. It's kind of like when you see someone in a very nicely tailored suit, like that suit doesn't look like it's wearing them. Like, they look good in that suit, you know? And that's the kind of vibe that we're going for, guys. The thing about proportions with an outfit is that it's gotta be realistic. Like, if you have a super long shirt that ends like past your hips, it's not going to make your torso look longer, because that's not a natural looking torso length. And then it's like you have this really long shirt or really long hoodie or whatever, and then your denim or your pants, they're super stacked around the knee, or they're super stacked on the bottom, which makes your legs look stubby and short. And so now you've got this outfit that is like giving you an extendo kind of dimension on top, and then you're like pressing everything down on the bottom, you know? When I say balance, just considering like what is going to make my proportions look the best. I have a fairly short torso and my legs aren't like long, but they're there, right? And so oftentimes if I'm wearing like an oversized shirt, I will tend to wear a slimmer pant just so, you know, I don't get lost in the sauce. Or if I have on something oversized on top, I will make sure that whatever I'm wearing underneath is tucked in so you can see where my waistline actually is. Therefore, there's that clear break between the top of my body and the bottom of my body. I wear my pants stacked too, but most of the time I'll make sure that it's like a flare or a bootleg so that it kind of like pours onto the bottom of my shoes, rather than just like having like that hard break and just having all of that stacking on the top of my shoe. Like I said, if this is your style, if you like long on top, long on bottom, whatever. Like, completely disregard everything I'm saying right now. It don't even matter, okay? But I think that if you thought you were giving this certain thing, I'm just letting you know it may not be giving that, and how you can give what you want to give. Next mistake I see far too often made is approaching menswear or like masculine looks too literally. You don't have to exclusively shop in the men's section, exclusively wear men's pants, exclusively buy men's suits in order to pull off a masculine or even menswear inspired look. You just don't have to. I think that when you do this, you do kind of like lose a bit of your originality, because really when you think about it, menswear is pretty boring. If you look in any menswear of any store, like, it's the same cuts, it's the same silhouettes, it's the same shape. There's not a lot of creativity. There's not a lot of originality in menswear. You're gonna see a lot more of that in women's wear than in menswear. And I would even say, look at the way that women's wear approaches menswear inspired looks, because I think this is what I'm getting at. Like, figure out the elements or the pieces that you like in menswear or about like more masculine looks, and make it work for you, rather than you stepping into menswear and feel like you need to make yourself fit into menswear. I think that a good example of this, so like you'll see right now, menswear inspired looks are actually very popular right now in traditional women's wear. So you'll see a lot of those like oversized, kind of like dad suits. You'll see like those kind of like granddad pleated pants that might be a bit oversized, but you'll see the way that they're styled differently in women's wear than you would in menswear. And I think that that is the more like smart approach to incorporating those elements of menswear that you like into a wardrobe and into a style. Because, you know, women's wear is what? It's girly, it's flirty, you know, there's a lot of play with movement. And so they take those elements of menswear or those elements of masculine clothing, such as structure, such as size, the things that normally would be accentuated in menswear, such as like shoulders and how long and straight things are cut. They will take those cuts and modify them for women's wear so that women can wear those same kind of looks, or really anybody can wear those same type of looks without sacrificing fit and without sacrificing style. And so when I'm saying that, you know, I think that there are some people in the community that are taking menswear and, you know, masculinity a little too literally, I'm basically saying, like, you don't have to go to Men's Warehouse and just run amok and run up a check. You don't. You can go to a cute little H&M, a cute little Zara, get a blazer here, get a pair of pants here, maybe get a pair of shoes here, and then pair it with something that may not be from the men's section and make it work. And there are certain elements of menswear and just like masculinity, like certain like pieces that represent masculinity that we tend to gravitate towards, like the bow ties and the ties. And like some of the other points that I've made, I think that we incorporate these into our wardrobes because it makes us easily identifiable. I think that there are just certain elements of menswear and masculine clothing that we take because we feel that when we do that, it's easier for us to exist in a space without having to explain ourselves. You can even achieve a masculine look while shopping exclusively in the women's section. I have an entire video about it. I will put it up in a card or wherever I don't even know which card. I'll put it up in the card. And you can check that out too. And so, yeah, I don't think that you need to look like you are a walking, you know, GQ ad. I mean, if you do, great. I'm sure you look great. But you can get those looks and achieve those looks without having to, you know, be surrounded by a bunch of dads in the middle of a Macy's. Like, you don't have to. And this last one I feel like is a bit redundant, but I'm gonna point it out because I've been to Pride before, I've been to a lot of these queer events, and I've noticed that people tend to like stop developing their personal style really early. Like I said, I think that this has a lot to do with the labels thing. I think people draw the line in the sand really early. They say, okay, at the age of 19, I'm butch, this is just who I am, and therefore they kind of like stick to that for years later. and don't really revisit what being butch, like how being butch at 19 may look different than being butch at 47, you know? Like this is a symptom of a bigger issue of fashion and style, and the way that it's shown to us and marketed to us is extremely binary, and menswear doesn't lend itself to being accessible or informational to people who may not have traditionally masculine bodies, like, and vice versa. And so a lot of the work that's done, you gotta do it, and you gotta research it, and you gotta try the shit on, and you gotta buy the stuff, and you gotta experiment. And honestly, that's a very privileged thing to be able to do, to be able to have the money to buy clothes and to experiment, to be able to have the time to even like have developing your personal style be something that you know, really invest time in the first place. Like that's a very privileged position to even be in the first place. I get why it happens, but if you haven't looked at the way that you dress in the last 20 years, 10 years, what do you like now? And how does that look now versus how it looked then? These things matter. Like your body changes. You may learn more about your body. You may have a personal style change, but you just haven't necessarily put it into practice yet. Like there are things that are changing that contribute to how you present yourself in the world now. Maybe you're a little bit older. And I think that those should all be seen in the way that you dress. I'm not here to tell you that like this is appropriate for a woman in her 40s or her 50s to dress, and it's not appropriate, you know, should be wearing the same thing that you're wearing when you're 19. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I guess I'm saying like when you become an adult and you like thick in adulthood, I think how you look and how you present yourself should have a consciousness. I keep saying that word, take a shot every time I say the word consciousness. But like, I just feel like the way that you present yourself in the world should have a certain consciousness to it, because at this point, you've done the work, the personal work to figure out who you are. You've done the personal work when it comes to your own queer experience. You've done the work to really develop how you want to be seen in this world. And it should be up to date. You know, it should be, that should all be reflected in the way that you dress. That's just my opinion, okay? If you're a tomboy, you've always been a tomboy, always gonna be a tomboy, that is absolutely fine. But there are ways to mature that aesthetic over time. Like you can still wear your hoodies, you can still wear your joggers, you can still wear your t-shirts, and all of those like very like quintessential like tomboy things. But maybe the way that you wear them, or the fit that you go for, or the colors that you go for, maybe they've shifted a bit. And you've learned more about, you know, what colors are more appropriate for your skin tone, you know, what cuts are just more appropriate for your body. I think that those are things that over time you should be able to kind of figure out and know, because when you become an adult, it's almost like you have no choice but to look good. Like I feel like when you're young, like you can get away with things not looking that great, or you just kind of looking like you rolled out of bed because you're a kid and like no one really expects much of you. But when you become someone who can like has the privileges and the opportunity to be able to invest time into how you look and what you wear, I think that those are things that people look for. And why not? If you have the resources to be able to really develop your personal style, so that when you walk into the room, people are like, oh shit, they look good. Even if you can look good in a t-shirt and sweats, you can look good in a t-shirt and jeans. I'm not even telling you to go out and buy a suit necessarily. Like what you like, just make sure that it works for you, you know, instead of you just kind of like throwing stuff on. I hope that made sense. That is my video. My name is Jade Fox. This is the Made You Looks channel. If you want to check out part 1, I will link it down in the description. Yeah, man, this is all love, and it's really like, I'm really not trying to be that girl, you know, trying to tell you what you should and should not wear. But I feel like there will at least be a few of you that resonated with something that I said in this video. And if you did, whatever that was, put it down in the comments. I would love to read them. I don't always comment back because we're growing on this channel, okay? So it's a little hard for me to get back to all the comments because there's all that. But nonetheless, go ahead and leave it and like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, at the end of every video, I have to say it. This is important. Wear what you want, wear what you like. Wear it out. Peace.